Hey, hope you are all having a fine Saturday night. First thing we're going to do here tonight is have a look at our new improved scanner. So I made a few tweaks offline and I'll let you see what we have done. So if we come down to the drone, we have added a new Niagara script to help us lock the beam in the correct manner, which is this part here. Haven't a clue what it does, but it does something and it does what we want it to do. So there we go. Right, and we should really go about renaming it as well. So we shall rename it to lock scanning beam. Okay. And we shall save this. And this we shall call it lock beam scan, so it doesn't. Okay, so that's the first thing we've done. Then the next thing we did was on the beam emitter setup. No, not the beam emitter setup. The initialize. No, wasn't on initialize. And it wasn't on that. It was on here. We set this to a curve, but it's now linked to the link order. Okay. So that allows us to actually scale up one end of the beam, which is what we require to do, and that's about tall and short. A couple of tweaks here and there otherwise, but the final result becomes this. Oh yeah, one more thing. We updated the material. So what I did was, originally the default material was just this particle color with this opacity thing added. So what I did was add a panner, multiplied the speed, added blue, put like a cloudy texture, multiplied those together, then added the alpha to the opacity, and there we go. That's about the limit of my material skills, basically. So what we end up with is this. And we shall see in a second that it's pretty effective. Unless, of course, I've made a couple of changes and made it worse. Right, but there goes our and yeah, there we go. So it stays there because we leave it on for a second. That's not how it should end up, but we can actually fix that by basically changing that or we could change that as well, but we could change it in the actual drone itself. If we go to the drone, right, and we go to here, what we could actually do is once that's finished, we could deactivate. Okay, and that'll do it for us. So I would say that's a pretty effective little effect. Don't know if you guys agree or not. Let's have a look at it one more time, and then we shall move on to something else. So let's do this, shall we? And there they go back. So that's all rather cool. And there we go. Okay, so that's as far as I'm going to take the scanner for the moment. The idea is to have it scan one way and then scan the other way, and we might do that. But in the meantime, what we want to do is have some sort of a widget for this, right? So this is going to be basically, it isn't really your inventory. Sorry, it is your inventory, but it's only a list of your inventory. It's not going to be interactive, right? There's other buttons for that, for example, right? There's other things that show your inventory in the game, right? So like if I do inventory, you know, that's going to show you what you've got in your inventory, okay? But it's also going to show you your crafting and stuff like that. You're going to be able to craft from here. Okay, you can do it already by clicking, you know, and it adds it to the queue. But there's nothing that just shows you the actual like a breakdown of your inventory, okay? So let's begin on that, shall we? As a little bit of an aside, we've worked on the drone for a couple of days, and it's beginning to get to the near conclusion. So what we'll do is we'll work on do a bit of widget work, okay? So with that, bearing that in mind, what we shall do is we shall close that down just now. We shall go back up to here, and we'll go to our material template. That's still engine stuff. Right, so we go to the in-game, and we've got an inventory here, right? But this isn't really the inventory. Oh, sorry, it is, but it's not just a list of the inventory. This is actually the crafting page, which has the inventory in it. But yeah, there's that. So what we'll do actually is we shall right click, we'll create a new folder, and we'll actually call it warehouse. That makes sense. We'll go in here and we're going to create a widget, and w underscore warehouse. Right, now this is going to be part of another, because if I can show you quickly, if we press play and build a refinery, right, and then we give it a couple of seconds to activate, okay, you'll see that this is actually a separate widget and this is a separate widget. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to stop it for now, and if I remember rightly, was it in base building? I believe so. Yeah. Or was it? Or was it? I don't think it was. Or the other question, it wasn't in there, that's for sure. Right, now it was in here. Right, so this is the part where we do the building details, okay? And if we look at the building details widget, you'll notice that it's got these things here, right? And basically it's got vertical box, vertical box. So I think in this case we're going to end up deleting these, or the other alternative is basically to use a widget switcher on it, right? This is a horizontal box with it, with all that stuff on it, right? So in theory, this vertical box here would be the thing holding the widget switcher, if we're going to do it that way. I mean, the other obvious solution to this, right, is basically to go like that and basically copy it and then go to our new widget, delete that, and then paste, right, and then delete as necessary, right? So what we could do is we could delete the workers from there because they're pointless, right? We don't need these two vertical boxes, right? and we could basically do something different. So there is always that. What I want to do is I want to look at the actual building defaults. I want to see, well, I know for a fact it's going to have a lot of, yeah, I mean, it doesn't need all this, right? The warehouse one just does not need this. So if we go back to here, right, what we need is a bit of padding. That's for one thing, at the top and the bottom. So we'll go 25, 25. Right? And basically, right, how am I going to do this, guys? How do you think I should do this? I mean, we could literally just do a big list. Right, but I don't think that's really going to cut it. I mean, theoretically, you know, right, here's the thing, right? Theoretically, if I go to here, and that's not the one we want, right? What we want is, in here, we want the button that shows the inventory, right? So that's liable to be at the top with the testing keys. Yeah, it's here. So if I look at the inventory main, right, what I could literally do is copy the thing here, right? So if we look at the graph for this, all we need to do is actually copy this code, add a grid, and copy this code. That's about it, right? Let's see what this does. Build inventory grid. There'll be build inventory grid and there'll be build crafting grid. Yeah. Then it redoes it. Okay, so we could do that. I mean, that's going to be the easiest way to do it. We can adjust how many columns and etc we have, right? But theoretically, it's just this. So we just basically copy that. Right, and then in our warehouse, we've got a horizontal box, right? We don't actually, yeah, we do. Maybe we don't. But what we're going to do is right, okay, so we're going to add a grid panel, okay? Just going to say grid panel, and that's going to go in this horizontal box. and this grid panel is going to be gp underscore inventory, and it's going to be a variable, and it's going to fill, and so if we go into the graph, we're going to delete that, we're going to delete that, then we're going to go back to our inventory count row, count column, right? So we'll just add those. Whoops, wrong one. So we add those, so that's count row, that's going to be an integer. Then we'll add another one, which is going to be count column. Then we're going to paste and we need a controller. Actually, that's not going to get joined on there. So what we're going to do is we're going to player controller, get player controller, cast to FE controller, then promote to variable, then change that to controller. Once we've done that, hit return, join that up, then we're going to add a custom event. So we add our custom event, and it's going to be called build inventory. We join it on here. We build it there. Then we say build inventory. That's that. And then we set timer by function name. And that's going to be build inventory, and we'll do that every 3 seconds, looping, join that on. We'll save that. Okay, and if we go to our building details and we come down to warehouse, basically we create widget, in fact, you know what we can do? We can do get self, right? Then we can remove from parent, and because widgets don't unload, we can do that and then just create this warehouse. Then add to viewport. Okay. Save that. And we can drag this down to here or wherever. So we can save that. Press play. We can adjust the columns and rows for this. Okay, so that's not working. We need this where, right. So that's mining details. That's recipe details. Right, so I don't think it's ever getting in here, right? Or it's crashing out here. Alright, so if that's the case, what we need to do is we need to do that, take that to here, put this in here, then join that to there, join these three to here, right, then copy that, duplicate it and pop it in here. We need to tidy this up at some point now that we've kinda completely ruined it. So we'll test that out and see how it goes. We'll see if that was what was killing it. Apparently not. So it's never getting here, right? So if we click on this building, it's not doing it, right? So I am guessing that it's an FE controller clicked on. Right, so give me a second. If we go back to building, no, that's the wrong thing. If we go to our warehouse, in fact, yeah, that's a widget, not the actual warehouse. Right, so if we go back to our buildings and we take a look at, let's say, here, and that appears not to be it, right? So that's the base building, right? So if we look at the miner, for example, we have this, and this is the clicked on, right? BP base building clicked on. So we go into here, otherwise we build that. right? So I would imagine we don't have that in the warehouse. Okay, so if we go back to our miner, we can have a look at that. Now let's have a look at our warehouse. Yeah, we don't have a clicked on. Right, there's the cursor overs. There's begin overlaps, which we don't use anymore. Transfer item. That's the planes. There's the rotate me. Right. That's a cursor over again. So basically, this is the on clicked. Right, so we can copy that. And this is because if you start, right? If you start a spline on this, whereas you can't actually do that here. So if we like do that, you'll notice that there'll be no one clicked. There's only cursor overs. Right? So basically what we do is clicked on, and all of these go in here. So if we look again at this, yeah, I suppose we've got to do this, but we just don't do this bit, right? So we have actually got to do this. So and this is going to be coming from the controller. So I'm hoping the warehouse doesn't have a controller. It should do. Oh, apparently it does. It's a bit of a bonus, isn't it? So basically we just do this. And it's basically everything other than that. Okay, so we'll just check our miner for that. It's everything up until remove, and then we basically just do, well, should be that as well actually. And grid, come to get. Right, and then all of these go in here. And then we save that. Then we press play. And let's see what this does, shall we? Right, so now we can resume, and there we go. Cool. Except it's bringing up the miner for some reason. So it doesn't know that we clicked on. It does not know that we clicked on. So we need to go in here. Base building. Right, and there's something tells me that when we come in here we tell it that it's a miner, or we tell it it's a smelter or something, so that we know what it is. Right, so basically in here building type, right, so we pass in the building type. When we build this, okay, so I'm guessing that in build details, when we actually build that, so that's on the click me, so that's in the base building, whatever that is, base building. Right, so we come in here in the basic building type. Right, so when we build the warehouse, we tell it that we're a base build, BP warehouse. So set building type, and that's going to be a not a research, it's going to be a warehouse. Okay, that's that one done. This should work now. Right, and warehouse, resume. There we go. But it didn't draw our thingies. Okay. There we go. I'm pretty pleased with that, actually. Why did it not? Interesting. Right, what we'll do is disable that. Right, and we'll close that. Of course, the close button doesn't work, because we haven't programmed it to work yet. but we shall check to see if this is working properly. Interestingly, that is not getting removed. What if... Right, hang on a second. So what we'll do is we'll put that there. We'll move this first out the way, then we'll get rid of this. Then we'll actually move this to the end, and I'm wondering if it'll work then. I wouldn't have thought so. I think there's something else going on here that I haven't taken into account. Right, hang on a second. What we'll do as well is in the warehouse, right, the widget, we'll go to here, we'll go to button close and clicked and remove from parent and save that. Right, so that's all of those things done, and now let's have a look to see which way this works now. And this is still bringing up. Well, that is bizarre. Okay. Well, I'm going to grab a quick drink. I'll be back in a second or two. Don't go anywhere. I shall be straight back. Okay guys, we're back and we've had a quick thought about this, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this, right? We're going to change it in the click me. Right, so where is it? It's not in there, it's in the base building, right? And this is the part where it does this, right? But what we'll do is we're going to do things slightly differently. We're going to come in here and whoop. Right, we're going to duplicate this, and then we're going to switch on enum, then for the short, in the meantime, right, what we're going to do is we're going to say miner, refiner, smelter, fabricator, go that way, right? But warehouse, do this. Okay, and that's going to be create widget. Now I will amalgamate these back together again at some point, but for the moment I want to have a little play with the warehouse, right? And then obviously we add to viewport. Okay. So we can save that. Okay, we don't save that. What we do is we plug this in and then we save it. Right. Now what I actually want to do here is I want to have a little play with this. That's the blueprint, we want the widget, right? So we've got our widget here, right? But what I actually want to do here is see this border. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add the scroll box, which obviously isn't called the scroll box, right? And I don't know what it's called, so we're going to have to find it, right? Now it's not there, it's down here. So we've got our buildings, and it's actually probably going to be in images and in-game menus, and it's not there, so it's not obviously not in there, and it's not in there. Well, wait a minute, what we could do is if we open this, see what I'm going to grab is this thing here, right? If we go to style, well, that's actually not it, and that's not it either. Actually, this is it. So it's selector. Okay, so it is in images and it is called selector. Right, so basically if we come in here and we change this to selector, and then we change it to blue, it appears we don't get anything out of that. Okay. Well, let's try that anyway, to see if it actually does show us something. What's going on there? It is giving us the it's kinda giving us it. But why is it showing the building details? I don't understand. Add breakpoint there. Alright, we'll try this again. It's not even getting in there. Right. So it's not even getting to here. So if we click on the warehouse, right? Try if it's here. Right, it is going to there. Step over. It's BP warehouse. That shouldn't be BP warehouse. Right, stop that just now. If we go to our miner. Yeah, okay. Right, so this should not be BP warehouse. This should actually be clicked on. Yeah, that one. So should be that. Okay, so let's try that out. See how that goes. Okay. Oh, that's arrows clicked. What's it doing being arrows clicked? And that shouldn't be BP warehouse. that's not it either. So what's going on here? Should be copy. Paste. Why is it going BP warehouse? Okay. Clicked on. That's why it's doing it. Let's have a look at our base building, right? We'll put a space in there. Yeah, the warehouse one shouldn't be there. That's why it's drawing it there. Right, but that actually shouldn't be there. Right, so it's actually this one. Right, there we go. Undo that. That's a weird one. So I'm guessing probably this clicked on should not be there. Wherever it is. Yeah, it's here. Right, that should not be there. Okay. So we'll move these down. Move this down. Okay. And if we look at this and we bring up a building, you'll notice that this is blue, right? So what we'll do in our warehouse widget, it's blue. And is it the brush color? Oh, it's a tint. No tile, but it isn't in a border. That's kind of the difference. So we'll press play. We could do it the same way. I'm just now beginning to look at getting all our widgets to be the same sort of layout. Right. So you'll notice now that this has got, well, one of the problems here is it's got that blur on it. Right. So the first thing we should do is remove that blur and basically delete that. Right. Then this border, well, it's not going to size to content, it should be just full and full. I might need to put another, yeah, I mean that's the outside one, so we're going to have to wrap this. Alright, wrap with a canvas panel. Then this canvas panel is going to be that. Then we zero that and zero that. And now our border should be full, and zero that and zero that. Save that. And it should be kind of looking like that. So let's have a look at that, shall we? Right, so now that this is working correctly, disable that, resume, disable that, and resume. And that's not exactly doing what I want. Right, well, interesting. And I think on that we're going to close it for the night. It's Saturday night, not too many people about. If you've watched, thanks for watching. Check out the description, subscribe, do all that stuff. But I'm going to leave you all to have an early night and have a couple of beers. So once again, thank you for joining, and we shall catch you later. Good night, folks.